following is a sponsored program on WBT.
Investment advice provided on the following program is on an individual basis. Listeners should not consider today's discussion as a recommendation for any investment and should carefully evaluate before investing. This is Your Real Estate Today on News Talk 1110 WBT.
Hello and welcome to the show, Your Real Estate Today. It's Paul Jamison, your host. So glad that you're spending your Saturday afternoon with us. I hope you are nice and cool. I hope that you're out enjoying the day, and I hope you're having a happy Saturday. So, we are, and this show is about real estate. Anything having to do with it, we're going to yak about it, we're going to learn about it, we're going to share about it. That's what this is about, and we are looking forward. We've got so much to talk about today. And for those that don't know who I am not only the host of the show Your Real Estate Today, I also own the Jamison Real Estate family of companies. That's the Realty side for buyers and sellers, property management if you're an investor, and of course the investor side of our business. If you're thinking about investing in real estate, we want to talk to you. All right, so as I always start the show, we're going to talk about what I learned this week. And nobody can say this old dog doesn't learn new tricks. I'm learning them about every 5 minutes, I think, in this business and in this city and in this world right now. There's lots of lessons to be learned, even with a mask on, right? Even with a mask on. All right, so I'm going to tell you something right now. One thing I was reminded is there's still room for success, even if you're old-fashioned like me. You know why? Because people like to hear your voice. They like a phone call. Nothing more successful and more personable than a phone call. Another thing that I like to do for being old-fashioned is I like to send out little personal notes. Sandy, you are the queen of personal notes. I've never gotten more notes from any human being than I have gotten from you. That is such a cool thing. Now, Sandy puts lottery tickets in her personal notes, which also makes me better. But a personal note is old-fashioned, but I'm going to tell you something. It makes a difference, doesn't it, Sandy?
It does, yeah.
It really does. How about this one? How about having an honest conversation at the kitchen table about what or could not happen in the real estate transaction? Newsflash, folks. The real estate business and the sale of your home or purchasing a home is not always kittens and cupcakes. There are things that can happen. Talk about them up front. Be up front about them. Share about them. Hey, although we are pushing for the smooth, and with my experience, let me tell you and let me prepare you for a few of the things that could happen. Here's a simple one. The contract in North Carolina for offer to purchase says the home is sold as is. Right? The home is sold as is. Well, that as is means as is. I don't think I've ever seen a North Carolina contract where a home has actually been sold as is. There's always a request for something. So just know it. All right? Here's another old-fashioned. Actually asking for the business. They just kicked us off. The system just kicked us off. The internet just went down. But that's all right. We're just going to keep going. All right, Sandy. Asking for the business. How often do people remember to ask for the business? And you need to be... Not
very often.
That's right. And you need to be patient, Not all listings sell in a flash. Not all rentals rent in a flash. There have to be special features that minimize the size of the audience that do cause that time lapse. These days, if it's pretty much, meat and potatoes house, it's going to sell pretty quick. But if you have special features like a pool or other things, you need to be patient. The house is going to sell. All right? The other thing, investors think that because we don't have any inventory right now, there's nothing to buy. Wrong. Turn over the rocks. Find them first. Be the first to the table. Look at other places. Ask people. Ask questions. And have a reputation for getting it done. Making sure you're working with people that can get to the finish line. You agree with that, Sandy?
I do.
All right. Yes. Last, and then Sandy's going to give the mortgage update. Who you're in business with matters. I have two people on the show today, Sandy, and I have Preston Sandlin, who will be coming in on the next segment. Let me tell you something. Who you're in business with makes a huge difference. Don't think that your realtor should not be asking the question, who's the loan officer? Who's the inspector? Who's doing the termite? You better ask the question, because it does matter. All right. Sandy, over to you. How about your weekly mortgage update? Where are we today?
Okay, so we're similar to last week on rates. So rates are terrific. First-time home buyers are up to 35% of the transactions and purchases now.
What? Wait. Hold on. What did you just say?
I said the first-time home buyers are getting rid of their rentals and jumping into home buying. 35% of the transactions.
35%.
So that's a lot.
Dang.
Also, prices are up. Medium home price is now $295, which is pretty much the highest I've seen. Investor transactions are down from 15% to 9%. So that might be reflective of that mindset that Paul was talking about. So if you're an investor, you still can get some good deals and make some good money if you do it the right way. Buying the house in your own name allows you to do a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage with minimum of 15% down, but ideally 25% down will get you the best rate. Seller can pay up to 2% of your closing costs, so if you're buying a small house, well, not even small, but a lower-priced house, you may want to ask for some seller concessions. Otherwise, you might get a high-priced mortgage loan, which lenders don't allow you to have. So that's just something that most people don't think about when they're buying investor houses. You cannot finance in an LLC and get a residential mortgage loan. You have to get something portfolio or business. So investor-wise, those are some tips that I wanted to give everybody. And other than that, purchases are up this year, 19%. Year over year, so the market's rocking and everybody's refinancing.
Right.
It's Disneyland in the mortgage business.
Yeah, Disneyland in the mortgage business. All right, so let me reiterate a couple of things you said, Sandy. You can get an investor loan with 15% down. Preferred rates come with 25% down, and you can get those loans for 30 years, correct?
That's right.
All right. Also, the seller can contribute up to 2% closing costs on an investment property. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the other thing I want to let people know is that, and Sandy, you and I, and Preston, of course, who will be on here in a minute, we talk about this all the time. The most important thing in looking at investment property, the most important thing in looking at investment property is the numbers. The numbers rule the day. Doesn't matter what the price is, doesn't matter how much over. You do make your money when you buy. Everybody says that and knows that, but it's truly about the numbers. Where is the property going? How much is it appreciating? And the partnership with Sandy is consultative. Right, Sandy? So when we sit down as a team and talk about the returns, we're using a consultative approach based on the numbers, right?
Right. So you have to use some experts if you're gonna be a successful investor.
Yeah. Well, here's what's to come. Thank you, Sandy. And how do they get you?
My mobile, 704-577-0144.
577-0144. So coming up in the show today, Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We're going to talk about routines. We're going to talk about so many different things, why you invest in real estate. We're going to talk about rental from Chapter 7 of my books, How to Qualify. So much more. We'll be right back to show you real estate today. News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT. Stay with us.
WBT, a radio.com station.
Welcome back. The show, Your Real Estate Today. Taking a stroll in the park with you to talk about real estate. And if you're Preston Sandlin, you're strolling on your bike on the ground.
Awesome. Yeah. You do know you have to be over 40 to get that reference, probably.
That's true, but that's all right. Well, thank you for being with us today. If you're just tuning in, the show Your Real Estate Today is all about real estate, your home, your investment in real estate, and we're excited. I'm Paul Jamison, your host from the Jamison family of real estate companies. That's real estate for buyers and sellers, investment for investors, and property management for the investment properties in your portfolio. Preston Sandlin, my guest, is with Home Inspection Carolina. Preston, it is great to have you back, man. Seems like forever.
I know. These Corona days are long, aren't they?
They truly are, but man, you have mastered the background. If you want to see Preston and I in person, watch all the gestures, all the hiccups, and all the funnies that we do during the show, you can go to our YouTube channel at the Jamison Realty YouTube channel, or you can pick it up on Preston's YouTube channel, which is what?
Oh, it's Home Inspection Carolina. Just YouTube and Home Inspection Carolina.
Pretty much rock solid, easy to remember. Jamison Realty or Home Inspection Carolina. We both have YouTube channels, and you can watch and enjoy us that way as well. You can also pick us up on radio.com or go to the WBT website, go to the shows tab, and you can go to Your Real Estate Today, and you can download any of the shows to your phone, smartphone, iPad, and listen till your eyeballs pop out. We have 12 years worth of stuff. They probably don't have all 12 years on there, but there's a bunch of them on there.
It's all microfiche.
Yeah, some of them are in tablet form. That's how long I've been around. Yeah, that's right. All right, so Preston, let's talk about the tenant for a minute.
Sure.
One of the biggest obstacles that a lot of people have in looking at investing in real estate is the tenant.
Yes.
Getting the right tenant, picking the right tenant, and making sure they don't mess up your house.
Yes.
Right? Now, the honesty in that statement is, you can never fully predict the human condition. That's impossible. But there are patterns and trends that if you follow them correctly and you look for those patterns and trends, if you've been doing this a long time, like me and all the gray hair I have, you can pick up those trends. And a lot of times that tells you a lot about what's going on. Chapter 7 in my book, Opportunity is Knocking, talks a lot about that. But let me give you some brief descriptions of some parameters. We, when it comes to an applicant, have a very, very consistent routine. Everyone is treated 100% the same. Everyone goes through the same screen process. Everyone pays the same to be screened. Every parameter is done the same. And here they are. We ask for 3 times the monthly rent in income at a minimum. So if the rent's $1,000, you got to be making $3,000 a month. That's the minimum requirement. Number 2, if you are employed, we are going to verify it. It's called a VOE, Verification of Employment. Number 3, you have to have at least a 540 credit score. Easy to verify. Next, we do not care to see evictions. We do a national eviction check. If you have been evicted in Los Angeles, California, we're going to find out. Next, criminal background. We check your criminal background. If you are a criminal, we're going to know there are certain crimes like traffic tickets and letting your dog poop on the sidewalk without cleaning it up. We let you pass on those. But there are certain hard crimes that disqualify you immediately. If you're a registered sex offender, same thing.
Yeah.
All right? Everyone has that is over the age of 18 living in the house has to apply. No exception. And if you have a pet, there are breed restrictions. If you say terrier, I know what kind of dog you have. It's a pit. Don't be telling me it's a terrier. It's a pit.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you're self-employed, we need 2 years of tax returns. That's kind of a 40,000-foot view of how to qualify to rent a property we manage. So, Preston, you're a large investor. You know, tell me, I mean, how have you done with tenants?
Well, I just realized everything that I didn't do, and in my history, I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones, and I think you've got it down to a science where you make your chances of having a good one a lot better. But my goodness, you get a bad tenant, it's a process to get them out, to tear the place up you can't just, hey, you're not paying the rent, get out. I mean, there's a process. It takes time. And, they're not concerned about property because they know they're on their way out. So, absolutely everything that you're saying is correct. If somebody, and a lot of those things, with the exception of the hard crime, maybe if it happened 20 years ago and they've been pretty good since then, like maybe they did have an eviction 25 years ago or something like that. Maybe they've, straighten themselves out. But what you're doing is dead on. And that's why I let professionals like you do what you do, and I try to do what I do because, it's hard to be a part-time property manager. You just can't do it.
Yeah, it's interesting you make that comment. People, you remember all the short sales years ago?
Yeah.
There's many people that had short sales that applied for rentals. We actually preferred people with short sales over those that had foreclosures because people with short sales made an attempt to pay the debt back.
Right.
And showed a sense of resolve. And of course, history tells a lot. If you've got a marijuana crime, from when you were 18 years old and you're now 40 years old, I mean, come on. You got to have some kind of reasonableness. But people ask me the question all the time about the credit score. Just note, I've rejected people with an 800 credit score before. If you look at someone's credit and they've got 4 cars, credit cards out the wazoo, and they're barely hanging on based on what they make, what do you think is the first thing they're not going to pay when there's a hiccup in their finances?
The rent, because they can stay in the house a couple extra months and they'll come get the car right away.
That's right. They'll pay the 5% late fee.
Yeah.
Whereas they don't want to lose their car, their BMW, and all their revolving credit cards because they're living off the things. So you got to know how to read a credit report. And then in the next segment, though, Preston, what's really important about our conversation is in this our businesses. You made a great point. You're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do, but you have to have a routine, right? Right. So in the next, we've got about a minute and a half before the break, and then we'll pick it up after the break. Why did you want to talk about that subject?
Well, because that's what I was going to talk about is my routine. And how we treat every house the same. Now, obviously, once you get into it, there's some differences, but the routine's the same. Just like when you're evaluating tenants, you have a process, and you just can't go like, oh, it looks good. I like you. You like me. Sort of thing.
Okay, Bill.
Every time you do that, whether it's with a person or a house, it leads to trouble. You need to see what's under the hood, and you need to have a process, whether it's a person or a house. And again, since I've turned my life is so much easier because I just, man's got to know his limitations, as Clint would say.
Yeah, Preston, that was well put, my man. And you can read into that anything you want. So, after the break, Preston's going to talk about his routine. We're going to talk about how beneficial that routine is. And I may ask him some questions about how people interrupt that routine. So we'll be right back after the break. This is Show Your Real Estate Today here on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT. Stay right with us. Back to the Show Your Real Estate Today. We're so glad you're with us. Happy Saturday. I'm here with Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. I'm Paul Jamison, your host. Thanks to Ed today for stepping in for TJ. He's coming up with some good music for us. Got to get him off he's dancing on the table right now, but, that's all right. He's pushing the right buttons with his feet. It's pretty interesting. He's a talented man. We're so glad that you're with us today. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us. Preston Sandlin is with Home Inspection Carolina. They are our preferred vendor for all home inspections. And Preston, I don't even know that I could count. I would say they'd be in the thousands now that you've done for us, for sure. Our clients look to you to use your routine, as we said before, to help us at Jamison Realty with protecting our clients and really discovering what is going on in the house.
Absolutely.
So, Preston, talk about your routine.
Sure. Well, Paul, just like your thing for finding tenants, they come in all shapes and sizes and, jobs and that sort of thing. Same thing with a house. They come in all shapes and sizes and different types of construction. And, one day, I've inspected, 15,000 foot mansion to, an 800 square foot, high rise, condo uptown, or I guess they call it uptown. But, they're way different. But if you use the routine, you can inspect all of them and have a process. Because otherwise, if you didn't have a routine, Paul, you'd just be kind of herky-jerky, and you would show up and you'd be like, oh, yeah, let's go look at the roof and let's go look at the crawl space. And it would just be a mess, and you're going to miss something. That you need an order of operations, basically like math. What is the please, my dear Aunt Sally? Same thing with a home inspection. And most home inspectors have a routine. They should have a routine. The routine doesn't have to be like mine. We have 27 inspectors, I think, and I tell them, I'll tell you my routine and why I've developed that over 24 years of doing home inspections.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to be like mine, but you need a routine because you always can fall back on that routine. Sometimes you get into an intimidating situation where, you got to, I don't want to spoil your question because I know what it's going to be, but you get out there, there's a whole gaggle of people there, and, contractors giving estimates and the shutter people, and it can be a little intimidating. But if you go back to your training or your routine, it's kind of like they say in the police or the military, you always fall back on your training. You can do that house.
Yeah. Preston, give me an example of what that routine looks like. What are the steps that people can expect to take?
Well, I'll tell you my routine. What I generally like to do is start on the exterior, but the first thing I do when I get to the house, from experience, Paul, is I go turn the dishwasher on because I want that dishwasher to run so that when I get to the kitchen, it's run its cycle. And there's some other reasons I'll tell you, but go ahead and get the dishwasher running. If they got dishes in it, whatever, put the soap in it. But what I'm going to do, Paul, is start out on the exterior of the home. I make several trips around the house, varying the location. I'm looking for drainage. I'm looking for structural issues, cracks, and each time I go around, I'm looking at varying heights. I'm looking at the windows. I'm looking at the roof, and you're always asking yourself, where does the water go when it rains? How's the drainage? Just anything and everything. That trees, are there any big trees with roots? And I keep a minimum of 3 times around the house, but actually I have a rule where I keep going until I make a trip around and not find anything I haven't seen before. And again, close or that sort of thing. So once I've made a trip around the house without seeing something new, I then go in the house, Paul, and I'm basically going to go top down. So I'm going to go in the attic, and I do the roof next first. Exterior. I get up on the roof, check for shingle, the shingles, the granular loss,
nail pops, all that stuff.
Yeah, any of that stuff. And if I can get on the roof, I'm getting on it. If not, we have binoculars, but I can get on about 80% of the roofs. And then I'm going to go to the interior, to the attic, and work my way down. But I like to go to the attic right after I did on the roof because, I know, like, I've checked the flashing. I've been on the roof and I know where the hot spots are, or wet spots, more likely. I know where the most likely spots for the trouble are. And I go right to the attic. And, I'm walking across the attic. You have to make sure you're walking on the rafters, because that insulation, it corresponds, the joists correspond with the rafters. But you're looking for wet spots, cracked rafters, pelted insulation, because if there is a leak, it'll pelt down the insulation. And then I finish the attic. Just look for any abnormalities, squirrels, bats. They can wreak havoc if they get in your attic. And I'll check if there's a lot of times in the attic, there's probably going to be a furnace or a water heater in there, depending on the construction. And while I'm there, I go ahead and check that, for the flame, the rollout, the heat exchanger, the whole 9 yards. And then, Paul, I'm basically going to work my way down. I'm going to come out of the attic, and if it's a 2-story house, I'm going to put the attic stairs up and clean up the insulation or whatever. But I'm going to check all the upstairs rooms, the bathrooms. I'm going to run all the water, fill up all the sinks. I want to put the maximum pressure allowed on the line. So if there is a leak, it shows up. And then I'm going to come downstairs if, 2-story house, and I'm going to go to the kitchen. I'm going to check the kitchen. I'm going to check dishwasher, everything in the kitchen, the stove, and that dishwasher should be finished running by now, hopefully. Checking for leaks, make sure those dishes are clean, hopefully make some friends with the seller since you clean their dishes for them. But then I'm going to finish the interior.
Got to dry them, it's a problem.
Doors, outlets. What's that?
You got to dry them, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's right. Leave it on the dry cycle.
Put them away.
And then I'm going to check the garage. If there's a garage, that's the next step. Checking the door, that sort of thing. Termite tubes in the garage, if there are, checking the outlets there. And then the very last thing I'm going to do, Paul, is go in the crawl space. And there's a method to my madness. 2 reasons, actually. I don't want to do the interior after I've done the crawl space, because usually you come out of there, you're kind of nasty, you got spider webs and all that. And also, I want to inspect the crawl space after I've run all that plumbing and, ran everything, because if there's a leak, I want it to be fresh where I can see it. But, in the crawl space, we're going to check the foundation, check for termites, high moisture, standing water, everything, and check behind those porches and definitely up underneath the bathrooms. And then we're going to come out and tell you what we found and type up the report, and we'll have it by the next morning. But we'll sort of give you a verbal there on site.
Yeah, it's interesting, Preston. In the last couple of minutes, one of the things that your guys do that I like is I don't go sit there for the whole inspection.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, unless I got work to do and I need some think time, I call the inspector and I say, when do you think you're going to be done? About 30 minutes from being done. And they'll all tell me, it's going to be 2-3 hours, whatever the case may be, depending on the size of the house or whether it's on a crawl space or a slab. And then I come at the end, and they walk through the pictures with me, and here's the questions that I ask. Things like, does this look old or is it new? Or is this something that was normal when it was built and not normal now? Or things like you said earlier, every house is built in a different time and so on and so forth. Should I worry about this? Should I not worry about this?
Sure. Yeah, and that's exactly And what you're doing is you're asking wants to know, but maybe not realize at the time, because you've done this a few times. You know they're going to have those questions later, and
Right.
those are excellent questions. It's kind of like an owner's manual, and it's a picture in time of the house. You can't expect to get a brand new house unless you're buying a brand new house, but you let them know it's an educational process.
Right. And we've got more with Preston Sandlin. He brought up a subject about new houses. I'm not going to let him get away with that, and I'm going to ask him who breaks his routine and what's that like. So stay with us to Show Your Real Estate Today. Happy Saturday, folks. We've got more to come. We're going to be talking about your home here on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT. Stay right there. I'll tell you what, Ed, you bringing it to us today. To Show Your Real Estate Today, making changes and talking about changes in your home. I'm here with Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. And I'm Paul Jamison, your host with the Jamison family of companies. That's Realty, Property Management, and Property Investment. Preston is with Home Inspection Carolina. And Preston, how can they reach you if they're interested in getting a pre-inspection or an inspection done on their home?
The best way is the website, Paul, homeinspectioncarolina.com. Through that, you can call us, you can email us, either one, homeinspectioncarolina.com.
That's beautiful. Perfect. All right. So, right before the break, I laid it on the mat. We're going to talk about two things that people don't normally think about, but I am thoroughly convinced are essential. Number one, if you're building a brand new home,
okay,
should you or should you not do a home inspection? That is a leading question. Number two, because I have a story. Number two is, you talked about your routine the last segment. You have a very clear process, and it makes common sense, like most routines should. But there's things that interrupt it, and I know some of those things, but I'm going to let you tell it. That can interrupt a home inspection.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with a new home. Why in the world would I do? It's got a CO. Everything should be fine.
Well, several reasons. First of all, everyone besides your realtor is working for the builder. So you need somebody who's working for you. I can't tell you how many times I've inspected a new home. In fact, Paul, if I made a chart of things that I found wrong, you would think new homes would be the least amount. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like 2 or 3 year old houses are usually the ones. We find tons of stuff on new homes because of several reasons. They have turnover. The builders have turnover. Their subs have turnover. If the builder in charge of that particular subdivision doesn't stay on their subs will cut corners. They may not know it. I mean, we've actually been quality control for some builders. I won't name them because I don't want to. But all I can tell you is you've got to get a home inspection, and even more so with a builder, because it's just. You may be dealing with some people here that may not have been on the job. Now, I'm not saying all builders, and I'm not bad-mouthing builders, but get a home inspection. Get somebody working for your interest only.
Yeah. Now, let me just tell you, Preston, two examples of why this is essential. Number one, you did a home inspection for me for a house in kind of southeast Charlotte. Brand new construction. Pretty popular builder, has a decent reputation. 28 items. 28 items.
I'm surprised it wasn't more.
Needed repair. Well, that's the ones that needed repair. 28 items. Wow. 28 items. That's crazy. The second example of this is something that builders, for the most part, don't like. Let's just put it that way. They don't like people to question their quality control. There's a particular builder in town that makes it so difficult for us to do a home inspection. They required you, Preston, to fill out multiple forms, show proof of insurance, gave you a certain amount of windows that you could be there, only would allow me to be there, not the buyer. I mean, crazy.
Oh, yeah. We've gotten those requests. They want to see your insurance, your car insurance, what's that?
Your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Your last dermatology exam results.
Blood test.
That's right.
And actually, that used to be funnier than now. But it's you start to realize they're trying to make it as difficult as possible, and they're just hoping that you'll just be like, we'll just go with your guy who works for you.
Yeah, who's on your salary that's never going to say a word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? And Paul, that makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah, and to add to your story, I've had new homes where they changed the model on the house but didn't change the foundation, and none of the piers lined up on the girth. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, and they put 8 or 9 new piers in to support. I mean, I got, I could tell you stories all day about that.
Oh, and they've got a CO, They get a CO. That's crazy. All right, so Preston, your routine, it's a good one.
All right.
But tell me how that routine gets interrupted.
Well, when the buyer, they're certainly within their rights to do so, they bring their uncle, who did heat and air 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm going to follow you around, see what I found, just make sure you're taking care of my niece.
That's right. He's a builder. He built a birdhouse one time.
Yeah, exactly. And, man, they're going to follow you around. And we're used to it. I would try to discourage it, though, because you're distracting the home inspector. But, usually we can win those folks over after they just checking us out to make sure we know what we're doing. But the problem is it's distracting, and it's a detractor because about the routine. If you think about it, in that order of operations, the reason I do the attic right after the roof because that flashing looks a little sketchy. But we're going to check the attic right adjacent to that, and tens to 100 of little mental notes all the time of something that's related to something else, the connecting the dots, why this is doing that, that's what's causing this. And when you interrupt that pattern, you're just not going to get a good home inspection. And, I know buyers are excited. They like to come and bring their parents, that uncle who did heat and air, interior designer, and I don't blame them. I mean, they only get so many opportunities in the house. But let the home inspector do their job. Let them do their routine, just like you let the property manager do their. Let them do what they're good at, and just let them get at the end and go over everything. Following them around is a bad idea. Right.
One more that I thought you were going to mention in our final couple of minutes was their stuff everywhere, the seller's stuff everywhere.
Oh, yeah. What is it, the feng shui or something?
Feng shui, moving boxes, packages, toys, kids' toys, where you can't even get to a wall.
Oh, yeah. And inevitably, the access to the attic is in the garage and the split-level convertible Corvette. Yeah, just messing with you, Paul.
Yeah, but standing on the I heard that. You stand on the hood to get to it. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Sorry about that dent in your priceless automobile. No, there was a Porsche one time. We had to get them to move it, but yeah, I mean, there's just it's part of the. I mean, we get it, we realize it. We're equipped to, but it's our routine. It's something we do every day. So we're fully aware of the obstacles that we're likely to face, and have and are prepared to do the workarounds and tackle them.
That's awesome. Again, Preston, if somebody is interested in a couple things, one is, they're thinking about selling and they want to have an inspection done prior to putting the home on the market to give them plenty of time to get things fixed. They can order an inspection with you all online. They don't have to be for sale, right?
Right, yeah. It could be a pre-listing inspection, which is a good idea, because you find out any of those potential big things and you don't have to price reduction.
That's right.
Just give us a call or visit our website, homeinspectioncarolina.com.
homeinspectioncarolina.com. Well, thank you all for spending your day with us. Preston, thank you. It's always good to see you and spend time with you.
Absolutely. You too, Paul.
Absolutely. The show Your Real Estate Today, friends. If you need us, call us at 846-DONE, 846-3663. You can pick up a copy of my book at pauljamison.com or at Amazon. Make sure you go to Prime. Have a great Saturday. Think about real estate. We're always here. Take care and God bless. Talk to you next week.